My name is Lana Kabaloti. I am a certified teacher of English and German and translator. I also teach Russian. I was always surprised by the fact that people study foreign languages at school and university for approximately 10 years in general, but when it comes to communication in a real-life situation, they are unable to put two words together. That is why I have set myself a task to develop an efficient method of teaching foreign languages that will enable the learners to acquire qualitative speech skills. I would like to tell you about peculiarities of my approach to teaching foreign languages. The offered method is implementation of ideas and principles of information pedagogics and e-learning. I took into consideration the results of scientific works in the field of pedagogical psychology, didactics, and teaching methods. My technology of teaching foreign languages is based upon knowledge of main factors influencing efficiency of educational process. Effectiveness of teaching and learning depends to a considerable degree on a form of knowledge representation. Educational information in traditional teaching is mainly transmitted by means of oral and written speech, but natural language has considerable internal restrictions for adequate description of many things, including complicated actions. For that reason, we often have problems with understanding speech. That is why it is said, seeing is believing. The fact is that we have two relatively independent systems of information perception and processing concerning external and internal world. One of these systems operates verbal information and the other system works with sensory, mainly visual images. Scientists have ascertained that verbal system functions mainly on the basis of the left hemisphere of the human brain, and imaginary system works on the basis of the right hemisphere. In other words, the right-hand side of the brain deals with images and not words. That is why specialists state that resources of the right hemisphere are not used to the full in traditional teaching. In order to involve imaginative sphere of psychic, it is necessary to reinforce the message with pictures and sound. That is why I actively use multimedia teaching materials that I develop myself. Information may be simultaneously represented in different ways through the use of multimedia technologies: text, photograph, video graphics, animation and sound. Thus, in order to improve teaching efficiency, we involve two channels of information perception and processing. I will give you some examples of use of multimedia technologies for teaching foreign languages. It is of course possible just to communicate to learners that "see" in Russian is "moria." Write this word on the whiteboard and suggest that they should memorize it. It is also possible to show a bright picture at the same time. The efficiency of learning will be higher in the second case. It will be harder to forget the Russian word "moria" than to remember it if we illustrate the meaning of the word by means of video and audio. In principle, it is possible to rest upon taste, olfactory and tactile sensations for learning foreign words, phrases and expressions. Of course, it is difficult to communicate them directly, but it is possible to actualize them by means of associated pictures and sounds. It is necessary to note that, in this case, we deal with mental representations and imagination, but not perceptual images. Oh, this cake must be very delicious. Delicious cake, вкусное пирожное, вкусное пирожное. Do you feel this invigorating aroma of tea? Aroma of tea, аромат чая, аромат чая. Do you really feel it? I do not feel it, as this delicate aroma is overlapped by fragrance of roses. Fragrance of roses, благоухание роз, благоухание роз. But it is important to know when to stop here. It is no good going to shop to buy some sweets after each lesson and going on a diet after completion of this course. We do not need similar side effects. Nevertheless, I sometimes play too much when it comes to healthy products. What is the Russian word for the juicy fruit causing the sour taste in your mouth right now? Would you like to know? So you would not. It doesn't matter, as I'm going to say it anyway. Limon, limon. We can't do without some humor in the process of training. And now I'm going to give an example of use of temperature and tactile representations. Please imagine that you are swimming in a warm sea and make your body feel it. And now try to memorize the following expressions. Warm sea, теплое море, теплое море. I'm swimming, я плыву. But seawater is getting cold late in the day. Cold water, холодная вода. When I develop electronic resources, I also take into consideration the fact that emotional states influence the efficiency of education. In order to actualize adequate emotions and create an appropriate mood, I use relevant pictures, music, video clips, as well as emotional speech and figurative language. These means may help to create favorable conditions for learning such topics as, for example, relationship, family, traveling, restaurant, shopping, and many others. It would be appropriate to use memories and emotional experiences from our childhood for learning the topic Christmas. It is known that the emotion of surprise promotes memorization. We do not often hear about friendship between cats and dogs. Friendship, дружба. Thus, we can increase teaching efficiency by means of actualization of different psychic processes, emotions, and states. I have given different examples concerning learning vocabulary with the use of multimedia technologies. The quality of acquisition of grammar patterns also increases to a considerable degree if we use both speech and different ways of schematic, tabular, and modal presentation of information. There is one more thing I would like to point out with respect to representation of knowledge. Philosophers think that any human activity, including learning, implicates an aesthetic aspect. That is why I try to do my multimedia educational material attractive from an artistic point of view. However, I hope that you will not be too demanding to me in this respect, as electronic educational resources are first of all designed for effective learning. Up to now, we have discussed some issues concerning the influence of forms of knowledge representations upon teaching efficiency. Learning efficiency also depends on characteristics of educational process. In other words, learning efficiency depends on teaching learning methods. Teaching learning method is defined in narrow sense as a way of joint activity between the teacher and the learners. I'm going to tell you about my method aimed at formation of language and speech skills. Skill is an ability to carry out a definite action. I have proceeded from the assumption that the main objective of the teacher is to create conditions that will allow the learners to acquire skills of high quality in minimum time. In order to manage this process in an efficient way, it is necessary to know about stages of development of skills. I have taken this knowledge from pedagogical psychology. Specialists offer the following scale of stepwise improvement of a skill for performance of a certain action. Lack of skill, a skill based upon an external source of knowledge about an action, a skill based upon own speech and mental representations, a good skill, an automatic skill. How can we organize the process of acquisition of an automatic skill in accordance with this scheme? Let us consider this issue by example relevant to acquisition of the simple speech skill of greeting people. The ability to perform this action is based on the knowledge about forms of greetings in general. Здравствуйте, привет, доброе утро, etc. and relevant situations. In order to form the initial skill, the teacher has to present this educational information in a shape that will be easy for perception and comprehension. When you meet a person you know well or somebody who is of the same age with you, it is appropriate to use the greeting form «Привет». It is necessary to use «Здравствуйте» in more formal situations or the phrases «Доброе утро», «Добрый день», «Добрый вечер», depending on the time of the day. When you see a company of your friends, you may greet them with the words «Всем привет». It is possible to use «Привет, ребята» when you meet a group of young people. These phrases are approximate equivalents of the following greetings in English: hi there, hello everybody. If the learner has understood explanations of the teacher, it means that he or she has acquired the skill based upon the external source of knowledge about the action. Now the teacher must arrange favorable conditions for transition to the next stage. Different exercises would be appropriate here, but it is necessary to note that the learner has understood all the necessary information, but he or she has not yet memorized it. That is why the learner will need the external scheme for carrying out the act of greeting, where all the necessary knowledge is represented compactly and in a single-stage observable form. The teacher is supposed to prepare such an information card in advance. It might be a table with the variants of greeting in this case. The choice of the form of greeting depends on the time of the day, place of meeting, etc. Imagine that you have come to a lecture at the university in the morning. Greet your professor, please. Доброе утро. And now say hello to your fellow student. Привет. The learner is supposed to memorize all the necessary information in the process of doing exercises, and then the moment comes when he or she is able to do exercises without external supports. It is the third level of development of a skill according to our scale. In order to make further progress, the teacher must ask the learner to take away the external scheme. But it is necessary to give enough time to the learners for carrying out exercises, as he or she is supposed to be able to speculate aloud or subvocally, call to mind corresponding schemes and tables, and relate them to the given task. Greet the company of your friends. Всем привет! Next stages of training are linked to step-by-step limitation of time to be given for carrying out the tasks. Choose quickly the right variant of greeting. Доброе утро! Привет! Всем привет! The relevant speech action becomes automatic and the qualitative skill is formed as the result of similar organization of the teaching process. In order to transfer acquired speech skills successfully, it is necessary to model everyday situations in the process of training. Application of the scheme of step-by-step skill formation has been demonstrated by an example concerning development of the simple skill. Frankly speaking, we could go without any external support in this case. But when it comes to formation of complicated speech acts, this approach makes it possible to increase the quality of teaching and reduce the time spent on learning. At the same time, it reduces the level of stress in the learning process. The above-mentioned results are achieved on the basis of knowledge of psychological regularities concerning development of skills. However, the teacher has to pay dearly for increased efficiency of the teaching-learning process. The fact is that the method of Lana Kabaloti increases considerably labor intensiveness of teachers, as it is necessary to plan carefully the educational process, develop multimedia educational materials, and manage the process of acquisition of skills. That is why most school and university teachers will always prefer the traditional education system, as the labor intensiveness is evenly spread between teachers and learners here. But as it is known, the traditional method for learning a foreign language takes much time and energy. Therefore, the learners stop halfway. That is why I think it is up to the teacher to create the most favorable conditions for learners, even if it occurs at the expense of complication of professional activity. Subscribe to my channel and mailing list if you want to make the process of learning foreign languages comfortable, quick and efficient. I will be happy to help you. See you later.